Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are going over the sword and shield. This weapon is looking to be awesome. I am not confident with this weapon, so I want to jump in with a sword and shield main expert. I don't know what to call you, but Arix is here to join me and walk me through everything sword and shield and how to get my deeps up with the weapon.
Yeah, I'm back. I thought I'd steal Paradise's intro.
Boy.
I'm back.
Obviously, in these Crash Course videos, in general, we're not going to go over everything. This is just to get you up and running, unga-bungering, and doing as much damage with the weapon as quickly as possible. This isn't going to go over the crazy nuances like that you really need to know to like speedrun or anything like that, but it will get you up there destroying monsters with the weapon. So if you haven't picked up the weapon or you just want to get more confident with the weapon, this is the guide for you.
I'm just happy we're doing sword and shield, man. I'm happy after all this time you'll be like, Alex, use a different weapon. Today, we're talking about the sword and shield. Oh, it's a good day.
So what is the purpose of this weapon? Because for me, when I first picked it up, I felt like it was a slow version of the dual blades almost, and that I wasn't hitting as heavy as I could be compared to the other weapons. Where is the deeps? Show me the deeps!
Okay, I'll show you the... Okay, right, so just at a super top level, obviously Sword and Shield falls into a similar category as the Dual Blades, and it is a fast attacking weapon. Obviously, the Dual Blades are the faster attacking weapon, but it is fast hits, so obviously it synergizes nicely with like elemental builds, status builds, that kind of stuff, but it does have great raw damage potential as well. Obviously, the useful thing for the Sword and Shield is the utility. You do obviously have the ability to use items. It's the only weapon that can use items with your weapon drawn, and you can kind of do some sort of like
always
fun stuff as
assumed
well.
that you could like just use it without using this shield thing, like guard. I don't know why they have it behind the fact that you have to guard to use your potion, because it's almost as long like doing the guard as it is like putting away your weapon sometimes. So.
Yeah, there's not. Yeah, I guess in more recent years it sort of changed a little bit, so it's not as you know, fluid, like as kind of it used to be a lot more prevalent because it used to be a lot like slower and stuff, but things have sped up over the years. But anyway, yeah, it's a useful thing. I was trying to pull off a cool trick there, but I clearly messed it up, so we won't have to worry. Right, so basic attacks. I'll quickly just go over one thing just worth mentioning, but then we'll kind of dive straight into the deep. So standard combo for Sword and Shield, like the one that you've known for since the beginning of time, basically, is if you do 2x attacks into 3A attacks. This is kind of a bread and butter. The reason we skip the last X attack, it has a lot of like end lag to it. It's not that strong. And if you want to sort of just do it standing still, you can hold your shield up and then just go X, 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 A, A, A. Kind of a quick combo,
so
just useful.
Like, how much time do you find yourself actually like doing this combo? Do you feel like this is like all the time?
Less so now. We're going to get into like hard basher, which is kind of like your bog standard thing now. The main thing that is useful for, if you are say in a position where you're trying to sort of apply elements or apply a status or something like that, it can be quite useful because it keeps you rooted and you can very quickly just go bam, 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 bam and get some nice sword hits. Because keep in mind, anything you do with your shield does not apply status. So if you do want to be applying elements, you either want to be using that combo or, as we'll touch on in a minute, drill slash. But since you want to know damage, by default, you have the hard basher combo equipped. This is the thing you don't have to unlock, you just have it. Forward A is basically a shield combo. Hard basher combo. It has great stun potential. Nice thing is, this does not deplete your sharpness at all. So only when you use the blade is your sharpness going down. So that's very useful if you want to dish out some damage, make slithers of sharpness go far. Really, really useful. Also,
that's
being
really
shield...
cool. So what? It doesn't deplete your sharpness if you're hitting with like the shield then as much.
Yep,
as
all the shield.
Ooh. Yeah.
And considering that the hard bash combo, if you look at it, like given how quick it is, it's actually got some like, especially that final hit, it's actually got some pretty nice damage numbers on it. Given that it's like a very quick thing, like that final one hits for like a decent amount.
Why does it hit more than your actual like sword? Like what?
Yeah, there are like this is the combo that if you had drill slash equipped. In fact, I'll just quickly swap to it just so that you can sort of see for the video the difference. Drill slash on paper does do more damage, and but that's obviously more sword dependent. If I swap to it quickly, the main use cases for drill slash would obviously be if you want to genuinely lean into element and you want to lean into status, because basically you plunge your sword in, it ticks multiple times when you pull it out. It's just very useful. So it's a great move, but obviously it eats your sharpness. So that's why you'll see a lot of people, a lot of speedrunners, things like that, they tend to lean into hard bash, and also factoring in that again you get KOs, and if you get KOs, it's a great window. So it's kind of a win-win. And don't forget as well, if you happen to be using shield attacks, they also don't bounce, so you don't even need Mind's Eye. So a lot of very useful things
the final combo for hard basher?
So the final combo. So at the end of Hard Basher, you can press X plus A to perform the Spinning Reaper. Now, if you perform that on the head of the dummy, you'll see how given again.
That hit for nearly 200.
Yeah, given how quick that's a big damage move. Now, Spinning Reaper can be worked at the end of pretty much any combo. You can do your A attack combo, Spinning Reaper. You can perform off the back of say a Falling Bash. You can go into different things like that. But the thing that's worth noting is that if you use it too early, if you use it say in your X combo, it comes out as a round slash, which is just same kind of animation style, but it's not the damaging one. So really, think of Spinning Reaper as like a combo ender. You get to the end of a big combo, and you whack in a Spinning Reaper, and then bam, some damage. So bog standard, if you're attacking the monster, you got Hard Basher, your standard combo flow is forward A, Spinning Reaper, then you roll. Reset, go again. Roll is your quick reset, basically.
See, this is where I always had the problem because I feel like my gaps weren't necessarily there and stuff. But if you can just roll out and then go again, because you can even just do the Spinning Reaper, right, and then roll after that. So you got 2 options of how to end it and keep it going, which is pretty cool. So Spinning Reaper, roll.
Yeah, that's super. That's your super quick flow. Now, obviously, we're going to get into the back hops now. But yeah, as you rightly sort of said, at the end of Spinning Reaper, it is quite a long sort of end lag. So yeah, you either want to be rolling out of it or cancelling. You can cancel into your Silkbind, which we'll get onto in a minute, or you can do the other thing, which obviously off the back of that, you can go into a back hop, and then you go into Perfect Rush, which is your big damage move. So let's go over quickly how you do that.
So what's your input for Perfect Rush as well? Because I always end up I don't know, accidentally holding it too long or whatever.
Yeah.
You press X and A at the same
No, so
time?
what you do, I think what a lot of people think is when you perform, so just for kind of context for anyone sort of new to Sword and Shield, initially, there's a few other ways, but initially, following an attack, if you pull back and press A, you do a backstep. Now the backstep has iframes, is useful for dodging, but what a lot of people think is because it's a longer animation, because you're jumping back, they feel like they have to hold for the whole time, when really it's just an input. It's literally attack, back A, let go. So if you think of that initially, and then you just think of jumping backwards and then letting go of your buttons, that should stop you from going into the charged back hop. Because obviously if you hold it and you go into that, this is the sort of old school move. You'd use it a lot more in World where you want to be sort of spamming for mounts and stuff. But given that you've got different ways to launch now, that isn't really used too much in Rise. So you kind of want to avoid that. Instead, you just want to pull back, tap A, and then press X, and you go into Perfect Rush.
I see.
And obviously for Perfect Rush, for anyone that hasn't used it before, the important thing about this is that you want to then complete Perfect Rush by pressing X on the flashes, because if you do that, you do the more damaging version. So you basically go flash press, flash press, flash press. So that's
you got loads of time. I'm rushing myself trying to get the presses in, but you've got so much time. You're actually meant to wait for the actual full-on flashes to pop off. Huh?
If you in World, I feel like the timing was a little tighter. It's very, very forgiving in Rise. And what's new about it, obviously in Rise, is that when you end it, you stab into the monster, and you kind of got 2 main options from there. You either press X plus A in the sky to perform the plunging thrust, hits 3 times on the way down, uses your sword. So obviously this is a good status applier. Or, of course, you've got your other option, which is you press A for the Falling Bash, which again uses your shield, again has great KO, and just decent raw damage. And keep in mind, if you do it off the back of a Perfect Rush, you also hit twice. You hit on the punch down, and then when you hit the ground. So you get a lot of kind of damage in that respect. So that's useful. If you decide you lose your opening, you can also cancel a Perfect Rush. Instead of pressing the third X, you go X once, X twice, and then A. And you end in a Spinning Reaper. So that's basically if you're like, oh no, the monster's about to move, I've lost my opening, I don't want to be in the sky, let me cancel out, basically. Or you can just roll out, both of them are options. So now that you know that, 2 of your kind of typical flows will either be, okay, I've got a small window, so Hard Basher combo, into Spinning Reaper, roll reset. Or alternatively, it's, okay, I've got a bigger window, Hard Basher combo, Spinning Reaper, jump back into Perfect Rush, that cancels the slow end lag, and then you go all the way through, finish that, and then when you land down, you can go back into Hard Basher, and you can repeat the cycle.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Now, obviously, you won't always have a window that big, to be honest. Perfect Rush is quite a time commitment, so you'll probably, if a monster goes down, get 1 in, but, you can still sort of try that out. So that's just... You're going?
Yeah, so what are the Silkbind saying then?
Sure. So your default one that you can't change is the Falling Shadow. So that's the one where you just grab up, launch up into the sky, and from there you can either press X, A, or X plus A. Don't worry about pressing X, it's a waste of your time. You either want to press A again for the Falling Bash, or you press X plus A for the Plunging Thrust. Same thing off the back of the Perfect Rush, basically. So that's one of the other reasons. It's kind of just worth noting as well. It's one of the other reasons you want to make sure that you're using either Falling Shadow or Perfect Rush, because if you did the regular charge back hop, and then you perform the Falling Bash, you only hit once. So you basically get a weaker version. So kind of just like forget about charge back hop. It's not to say you can never use it, but it's not going to be useful. So Falling Bash Falling Shadow is useful because you can also use it to cancel stuff. So we go Hard Basher, we go Spinning Reaper, and then cancel into Falling Shadow. Slam down, Hard Basher again, Spinning Reaper. And it's only a one stilt by move, so it recharges pretty quickly.
Do you feel like the refresh matches up to like your actual like combo, or?
Yes, yeah, you can actually do this. You don't even need Y-Bug Whisperer. You can just about get the refresh on this in time to be able to repeat this. So it is actually a genuinely viable thing. I would say it's a bit situational depending on what you're fighting. Some monsters, Falling Shadow, you end up just like going past the monster and just missing completely. So kind of just like make sure you're close to it. It's decent on Wyverns, like get in where the neck is and just kind of pull yourself up in. But yeah, so that's a good option. Alternatively, you have, I'll grab it just for demonstration purposes. While I'm grabbing that, if you can put the test dummy onto Stomp, then we can demonstrate the windmill, the one that
this was Alex's like favorite move when we first started.
This is my favorite move. So you perform this one, and basically you're invulnerable all while you're doing this. So it doesn't hit too much. I mean, it does multiple ticks, so it has some decent status application in that respect. But mainly, the big draw of this is that all while you're doing that, you are very, very safe. So you can kind of use this and be like, oh, you know what? I don't want to, I don't want to be sort of like hit. So it's,
Wait, does that
it
apply
definitely
status?
It hits. I'm pretty certain, unless I'm mistaken. It is worth noting also. Okay. It is also worth noting that this move isn't as weak as like we initially sort of like thought from the demo, because it does have, as long as you're positioned correctly, it does have a strong final hit. Because basically what happens is like when you close the whip down, you bring it in. If you're facing like close to the monster, you do actually get a very sort of strong final hit. So it's not actually a weak move.
Yeah.
Oh,
it does. That's kind of nasty.
Yeah, so it's not a complete, it's definitely not a wasteful move.
Yeah.
It's just that your alternative option is just
so much better.
So good.
Yeah.
So you have Metsu Shoryugeki, which is, animation-wise, it is a Shoryuken. You launch up to the sky, and once you're in the air, again, like the other ones, you can either press X plus A for the Plunging Thrust, or you can press A for the Falling Bash. Mm-hmm. But if you do it into an attack, you're not only invulnerable, but it also hits more times on the way up. So instead of just hitting once, you get multiple ticks on the way up, and you can obviously then counter. So it's expensive, it's 2 wire bugs, but it's both an attack and a counter.
Ooh.
So it's very
I just
nice.
like how nutty it looks when you actually pull it off as well, because when you see people popping off the Metsu and all of the clips, it just looks crazy. So it's really good.
Crazy, yeah. And it's worth noting that this also procs with offensive guard, so you can take some you can get some value out of that. And if you want to, if you have guard up, then even the things that were ordinarily unblockable, like some laser beams and stuff, you can even Metsu in those as well. So you can get a bit crazy with it.
Nice.
So there is that.
Y-Bug Whisperer will reduce the cooldown as well on it as well, so you can get more of them in a hunt if you do spec into Y-Bug Whisperer, which people are sleeping on anyway.
Yeah, definitely. It's such a good skill. There is one more thing we're touching on. Like, this is definitely getting used slightly more so. It's a little bit different. Doesn't kind of fit in your typical combo flow. But you have the guard slash, which used to be a rubbish move. Like, you would just never use it. You'd be laughed at for using it. But now on the guard slash, so if you hold down your shield and you press A, perform this little weak slash, but you get a blue flash. That's basically a guard point now. So yeah, so you do this into a projectile, and then following that, you either press A to begin a perfect rush where you stand, or if you instead hold it and you press X, you jump forward into a perfect rush. So think of it in a use case, it's like, a fireball has come my way, I'll jump forward and I should be by the head. Or think of it as like, I've just done a roar, so I'm right by the monster's head, let me just wail on his head. And given that perfect rush normally has a big time commitment to sort of get into, it's kind of a quick way to just sort of jump into it. It's worth noting, guard slash is kind of by default useful on interim moves, roars, fireballs, things like that. But on strong moves, you just won't be able to follow up from it. So if you want to be able to use it on anything, you have to have guard 5, like maxed out guard.
Ah, okay.
So big things like stomps, you need full guard, but then you can just like, basically counter anything very quickly. So that is quite nice. But honestly, I mean, yeah, I don't want to sort of say like you won't use it much, because it definitely does have some nice use cases. But when you think about the general combo flow, you won't be using it that frequently. Like most of the time, it's going to be hard bash combo into spinning reaper, roll reset, or hard bash combo into perfect rush. The one last thing you just kind of is important just to touch on is that I mentioned initially that you can perform backstep following attacks, but you can actually just do it like out the gate. You can hold up your shield and just pull back and press A and just jump. Or you can roll and just go straight into a back hop as well.
Ah, okay.
So it's useful to know, because if you like
options to get into the back hop, which is then going to give you a bunch of damage, because you could go into perfect rush or whatever.
Exactly, yeah,
and stuff like that.
And if I just stop the train dummy, because the useful thing as well is if you're like, say the monster's knocked down and you don't want to suddenly like flow in something, you can just straight away be like, okay, jump back, perfect rush, we're in, let's go.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and you just can't be hit during the back hop as well, right? The whole of the back hop is got
during the jump backwards. Yeah, you're good. Once you get back and you stop, like but during the jump, you're good. So it's pretty generous. It's like definitely a nice thing, because you can follow anything. You could be mid combo and be like, oh no, hup, and then just jump back or something.
So all you SNS users out there that are using Sword and Shield, I don't want to see you get hit even once when you can like literally cancel out into like a counter kind of iframes move at any point in your combos as well. So I want to see those sweet iframe dodges right there. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. I'm definitely gonna pick up the SNS a lot more. Obviously did like a hunt with Paradise yesterday on a video, and I was like, oh, why do people enjoy it? And I had a bunch of people in the comments saying this is why I enjoy it. So I just wanted to learn more about it and help you guys along the way. Bring Alex here to teach us how to use the Sword and Shield, because that's all he talks about, guys. If there's a Sword and Shield user out there, they'll tell you that they're a Sword and Shield user. They'll be like, do you know about the Sword and Shield?
It's true.
So thank you so much for joining me today, Alex. What video is going up on the main channel today?
Main channel today is some Monster Hunter Stories 2, taking a look at some of the new monsters shown off in the new gameplay.
Cool. And is there any final takeaways for this weapon that you want to give people?
I would definitely say 100% pick it up if you haven't tried it. Know that you can kind of adapt it to any playstyle. The nice thing is it's definitely, despite the fact that it's often sold as like a status element, so great raw damage potential, I just think it's hella fun, and try it, because who doesn't want to Shoryuken things out the sky?
So just the last sentence to like summarize it all, it's just literally just hard basher most of the time, dodge, and then
hard basher into spinning reaper.
Hard basher.
Don't forget spinning reaper, because that's free, very high damage. Cool. Don't be forgetting that. Yeah. Hard basher, spinning reaper, roll reset if you got a quick window, and then when you have big windows, perfect rush.
Go jump back. Okay.
And then obviously in between that, work in some silk lines whenever you can, and then profit.
Cool. Easy. Let's get it.
Easy mode.
Alright guys, thank you so much for joining us on today's video. Thanks for all the subscribers, thanks for all of the likes and the love on the videos. If you have any questions about the weapon or any additional tips, then drop them in the comment section down below, because I do want to know what you guys think about this weapon and any of the nuances that you guys have learned that maybe Alex doesn't know or didn't necessarily touch on in this video, because we have a short amount of time to concise it into this video. But other than that, bye bye.